In 1967, Vladimir Komarov launched in a spacecraft he knew was broken. He died when it crashed, the victim of a powerful regime that refused to wait. By 1991, the Soviet space program faced the opposite problem. Sergei Krikalev wasn't ordered to his death. He was abandoned to his fate because his government had lost its power entirely. Krikalev launched in May 1991 for what should have been a routine 5-month mission aboard the Mir Space Station. Trouble started during the approach. Mir's automatic docking system failed, forcing Krikalev to take manual control of the capsule. He had to align the craft and guide it into the port by hand, narrowly avoiding a collision that would have destroyed the station. Krikalev had survived the docking, but his arrival coincided with a political upheaval on Earth that threatened to keep him on the station indefinitely. In August 1991, an attempted coup saw tanks roll into Moscow. As the central government lost its grip, the Soviet Union began to fracture into 15 independent nations. This political shift meant the Baikonur Cosmodrome, the program's only gateway to space, now sat on foreign soil in the newly independent Kazakhstan. Short on funds, the new Russian government began selling seats on upcoming rockets to Austria and Kazakhstan. To accommodate these paying passengers, they removed Krikalev's trained replacement from the flight manifest. Mission Control eventually radioed Mir with a blunt assessment. The country was bankrupt. There was no money to send up a replacement, and no timeline for when Krikalev could return. Krikalev's mission was no longer a matter of science or scheduling. He was stranded in orbit, his return flight canceled so his country could settle its debts with its neighbors. Mir had a functional Soyuz capsule attached that could have brought Krikalev home at any time, but he couldn't just get in and leave. As the flight engineer, Krikalev was the only person on the station trained to manage its complex life support, oxygen generators, and power grids. Without his constant manual maintenance, these interconnected systems would eventually fail. The station would lose power and drop out of its stable orbit. Eventually, the multi-billion-dollar station would burn up in the atmosphere. Abandoning his post meant destroying decades of research and investment. With the government on Earth in disarray, Krikalev made a personal choice to stay. He decided to sacrifice his own physical health to keep the station functioning. Conditions aboard the station were deteriorating. Power outages were common, leaving Krikalev in total darkness while he waited to see if the oxygen supply would shut down next. The humidity spawned a radiation-resistant mold that smelled like rotting apples. This fungus began eating the rubber seals around the windows, the only material separating Krikalev from the vacuum outside. While Krikalev managed the station's physical decay, hyperinflation was dismantling his life back on Earth. His monthly salary of 600 rubles dropped in value until it was worth about $2.50. While he maintained a space station, his family struggled to buy basic groceries. With Mission Control providing few details about the collapse, Krikalev relied on a ham radio operator in Australia named Margaret. Through her, he learned the truth about the chaos unfolding in his home country. The Soviet Union's most advanced achievement was being consumed by mold, while its pilot depended on a civilian in Australia to confirm if his home still existed. In March 1992, Germany paid the new Russian government $24 million for a seat on a Soyuz rocket. This cash allowed Russia to finally launch a replacement flight engineer to take over Mir's failing systems. After 311 days, Krikalev handed over the station and began the descent. His small capsule plummeted violently through the upper atmosphere, enduring intense friction and heat on its way back to Earth. After decades of ideological conflict, a decorated Soviet pilot was finally brought home by a capitalist business deal. Krikalev landed in a frozen field in Kazakhstan, pale and soaked in sweat. 10 months in zero gravity had left his muscles so weak that he could not stand under the weight of Earth's gravity. As he was carried from the capsule, he was still wearing his Soviet uniform, patched with a red flag and the letters of a country that had ceased to exist 3 months earlier. He had returned to a country that had been renamed and reorganized. His passport was invalid, and even his hometown of Leningrad was now St. Petersburg. Krikalev became known as the last Soviet citizen. He had survived the vacuum of space and the disappearance of his world, maintaining his post in the stars long after the empire that sent him there had vanished.